Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to the channel. This video is my full compatibility guide for all of the most requested games that you guys asked for in my Cemu 1.12.2 announcement video. Now, the games we are going to be testing in this video are Bayonetta 2, Super Smash Bros. 4, Breath of the Wild, Paper Mario Color Splash, Tekken Tag Tournament 2, Hyrule Warriors, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Xenoblade Chronicles X, Fatal Frame 5, or as you may know it, Project Zero Maiden of the Black Water, and Pokken Tournament. Okay, so without further ado, let's actually jump across to the video and actually get this compatibility guide started. Kicking things off with Bayonetta 2, unfortunately in Cemu 1.12.2, in a similar fashion to most previous builds, this game is currently not playable. In testing across both AMD and NVIDIA GPU and CPU systems in the BSoD gaming community, we have found that this game is practically unplayable due to the random nature of its crashes. This game also crashes a lot more when you enable the Cemu experimental option, GX2 Draw Done, and without this setting being turned on, the game becomes an epileptic nightmare with flickering and flashing graphics in practically every scene of the game. Across extensive testing, we have also found that the audio desync is also not fixed in this version. Moving swiftly on, let's take a look at Super Smash Bros. 4. So in a similar fashion to the previous build, Super Smash Bros. 4 works practically perfectly on Cemu 1.12.2. It must be noted that in order to get certain game modes working, as an example the All-Stars game mode, you are going to need to dump your Mii data from your Wii U console itself. In my testing, online mode is still working perfectly in 1.12.2 also, although this will require you to dump the online files necessary to activate this mode in Cemu. Next up, we are going to take a look at Paper Mario Color Splash. In some awesome news in Cemu 1.12.2, and as you can clearly see, the issues with rendering only one side of the player characters is now fixed in Cemu 1.12.2. Unfortunately, in order to get this game to boot, you are going to need to either delete or rename the video file for the opening video sequence. This video file can be found inside your game folder, content, and then the video file itself will be inside of the movie folder. All you'll need to do is rename this file to something so that the game cannot recognize it and will boot straight into game. This game, however, is not perfectly emulated. As you can see, we are getting this weird green hue on some of the in-game characters. Apart from this graphical glitch, this game is practically perfectly playable. Moving swiftly on, let's take a look at Hyrule Warriors. Once again in Hyrule Warriors on Cemu 1.12.2, this game is fully playable. In order to have the best possible compatibility, you are going to need to download and install both update and DLC versions 208. As well as this, you are going to need to activate the graphics pack titled DLC Fix. Once you have all of this done, this game will work perfectly for you. Graphics wise, this game still has some shadow issues as you can see in game right now. There are also some issues on NVIDIA GPUs where when you kill enemies, you will see a strange green hue on the outline of all of the enemies. Both of these issues can be fixed with specific graphics packs which you will find in the main graphics pack repository. Let's move on to our next title, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is another game that in my testing works absolutely perfectly on Cemu 1.12.2. Some lower tiered or lower powered GPU users have reported that there are slight frame drops in some later levels in the game. However, in my testing of these levels, I did not get frame drops, and even the players who reported these issues are still saying that the game is still fully playable even with this FPS reduction. Let's move on to our next title, Xenoblade Chronicles X. Unfortunately, in Cemu 1.12.2, Xenoblade Chronicles X is still not playable. Regardless of what hardware you are using, NVIDIA, AMD or Intel, this game still suffers from random crashes in gameplay. If you do want to play this game on Cemu emulator, the best builds for you to use would be Cemu 1.9.1 or 1.11.1 equally. These are the most stable builds of Cemu for this game. Moving on to one of the most troublesome titles for me in this compatibility guide, let's quickly take a look at Fatal Frame 5 or Project Zero Maiden of the Black Water. Unfortunately, in Cemu 1.12.2, at least on NVIDIA GPU systems, you are not going to be able to play Fatal Frame 5 or Project Zero Maiden of the Blackwater. This game itself runs quite well on AMD hardware, however, if you are using an NVIDIA GPU, I would not recommend that you even try to boot this game on this Cemu version. This is due to the fact that when this game boots into game like you are seeing right now, it will lock your GPU to 100% utilization and will even stop your desktop from rendering. Hopefully this game will get better compatibility in future versions. If you wish to play this game, I would advise using Cemu 1.12.0. The next game we are going to be taking a look at is Pokken Tournament. Pokken Tournament on 1.12.2, although playable, does come with some issues. As you can most likely hear, it has some severe sound issues, and as you can clearly see, the shadow rendering issues which have been present since this game was bootable are still completely present in the game. There is currently no fix for these shadow rendering issues. Please also be aware that in order to even play this game correctly, and if you wish to use its online mode, you are going to have to update it to its latest version and also dump your online files from your Wii U console. The sound issues which I previously mentioned can be in some way alleviated by enabling RDTSC in Cemu Options Experimental, although enabling this option will not 100% fix these audio issues. Let's move on to our second to last game title, Tekken Tag Tournament 2 Wii U Edition. So while Tekken Tag Tournament 2 Wii U Edition does fully boot and I would call it fully playable, there are still some fairly significant render issues, especially in very colourful scenes. In this fight, it is quite a dark area, so this issue does not actually persist. However, when I switch over to a more colourful scene, you can clearly see that the graphics are becoming corrupted. According to reports in the BSoD gaming community, this issue seems to affect both AMD and NVIDIA GPU users. Let's quickly move on to our final game for testing, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So as you would expect, Breath of the Wild works perfectly in Cemu 1.12.2 and even appears to have seen a slight performance improvement. In the coming day or two, I am going to be doing my side-to-side performance test in which I will show you exactly what kind of performance improvement you can expect in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild from Cemu 1.12.1 to Cemu 1.12.2. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon in order to be notified when this video and all of my future releases go live. That's about it for this top 10 requested games compatibility guide for Cemu 1.12.2. Once again guys, cheers for checking out the video, remember to like it if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and as always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see all future videos from me.